Hey guys, welcome to the Atlas Masterclass. Today I'm going to be making some rempah. So what it is, it's going to be a marinade for our pork. So what we've got here is we've got some chili, some garlic, some galangal, and also some lemongrass. So we're going to be talking about chopping these up and how we do it. So we've got a few different methods that we could use, and then we're going to be putting it onto our pork. So I've got a piece of pork loin here. If you've got the box, you've got pork slices. And we're just talking about how, because it's not an acidic item, how you could make this in advance, marinate your pork, and it's just going to give it even more and more flavour. So let's start by preparing the ingredients. So the first thing I've done is peeled this galangal. So you just take the hard skin off it. It is quite fibrous galangal, so it is very tough to work with. Then the chili, I just take the chop the two ends off. That's going to be fine. If you wanted to take the seeds out, if you're not a spice person, you could just open the inside of the chili up, laying that out like that, using a spoon or the knife and removing the seeds that way. I'm going to leave the seeds in for this one though. And for the lemongrass, I just chop the end off like that. Peel the outside off. And lemongrass, you only need just a nice white piece of it. The rest of it is it's too fibrous to use. You could dry it out maybe for a tea or something if you like. And then I would get something that's firm and sort of beat that down. And that will help us chop it up and get it all ready. So for this one, you could put it in a sort of Thermomix or a blender and blend it. But if you do that, you're probably going to need some water, which will help it bind together because you're doing such a small amount. It might just spit up the sides and then you can't actually get it going. So that's why I'm going to do it with a knife. And then once I've done it with a knife, I'm going to finish it in this little mortar and pestle. But you could do the whole thing with a knife. So I start by chopping up the lemongrass into really fine pieces, like so. The galangal as well, into nice slices. And just keep them all separate as well at this stage because I'm going to hit them in the mortar and pestle. So because this is so firm, you really want to take your time actually chopping it all up and making sure you get it nice and fine. The garlic, chop that finely as well. This one is easy to smash though. And then the garlic. And now, get our little mortar and pestle. Start with the galangal. Followed by the lemongrass. And if you want some friction in there, you can add a bit of salt in at this point, which will help you get it nice and fine. Chili in next. And last but not least, the garlic. So this now is about taking your time to really grind it, pound it, make sure it's nice and even. So give yourself a minute or two doing this. Or alternatively, just doing it on the chopping board with a knife. It will definitely take you a little bit longer this way, but you'll get a similar result. You know, you can roll it out. Lots of different ways to do this to get it really, really fine. And you just want to take your time to make sure you get a nice smooth paste, which will incorporate a lot more flavour into this dish. Then once you're happy with the consistency of it, then you can mix it with your pork. So this pork here I haven't got sliced, but I would slice this up. And then give that a nice mix. And now I'd let that marinate, and then once we go to cook it, you'll be able to smell all those flavours in your kitchen. And then that there is exactly what we want from the rempah. So now to cook our pork, I preheated our pan, I add in a very generous splash of oil. That should heat up super quickly. And then I start adding our pork in, And so with this, we want to add it in batches so it doesn't sort of stew. It will actually cook nice and quickly. And you want to get it nicely fried off. So it seems like we're using a lot of oil, but what you want to do is frying it all off. Just let those aromats cook really nicely as well. And then we're going to put it into this strainer, letting the oil drip off, and you're just going to be left with that crispy, delicious pork. So what we'll do is taking very, it doesn't need too long at all, maybe a couple of minutes, but you just let it sear without touching it, start cooking it, and then it'll be absolutely delicious. Now I'm starting to get a very nice colour on the pork. The aromats are cooking out really nicely. And once I'm happy with the colour and how fried it is, so you can take it definitely a little bit further than this, and I might just do the next batch. So I just pour that through my strainer, being sure to get most of the stuff off the bottom of the pan, and then I reuse the oil. Let that reheat up again, and then I'll add in the rest of the pork. And that there, you start to see that golden crispiness cook through, and that flavour will really, really come through. Now, just fry this next batch, and then we'll be ready to have a look at it. So now we strain off the pork, cleaning up the bottom of that pan, putting a splash of the oil back in the pork in this bowl. Now we're going to add a spoon of our brown sugar and fish sauce mix onto the pork, and then into the last fry. And what this does is this will coat it up and glaze it. And there we are, a super sticky and beautiful salty pork.